IPMNation.com.
Auto sequence starts.
Matt Connarton Unleashed. 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 Matt Connarton Unleashed.
Welcome, everyone. Just after 11 p.m. in the Eastern Time Zone, special Friday night edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed. We got a stacked show tonight. I'm kind of glad we put off the show until tonight. We had a little issue on Tuesday, but probably just as well because we have a lot to do tonight, a lot to talk about, a lot that's transpired during the week. We have a great guest joining us via phone who we're going to talk to in a moment. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit of politics later. Definitely a big day in politics today. A lot of big days in politics lately, it seems like. And I have something also that I want to do tonight. Something happened on the air earlier in the week that kind of pissed me off. And I'm going to be taking someone to task, a certain other radio host who you might have heard here on IPMNation.com, who I've got a few things to get off my chest tonight. Let's put it that way. So that'll be interesting. And I also have a big announcement about a new political show that's going to be debuting next week here on IPMNation.com. But let's get to our guest. We have the Unknown Poet from Florida on the phone with us. How you doing, Poet?
What's up, man? How's everything?
Good, good. Things are good up here. A little hot. Is it hot in Florida?
Yeah, it's always hot in Florida.
Is it? Yeah.
Even in December, it's hot in Florida.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us here tonight, man. And what do you have coming up? You've got a radio show that you're working on, correct?
Yeah, kind of to offset the, well, you know, we started doing the Underground Sounds live music showcase, and we're coming up on a year in November.
Yeah.
So basically, what that does with the Underground Sounds is we just pay homage to the culture of hip hop. We don't pay, you know, we don't. It's just strictly underground, straight talented artists. You know, throwback classics all night long when we do these shows, and just great artists that come out. Excuse me, you know, cats that are making their debut performances at the Underground Sound shows. Classicness, just, you know, Doc P from Digital Underground came out and hosted one of the events one night. And,
so these are live events that you're doing down there?
Yeah, these are the live shows that we're doing down here.
Nice.
And so just, it was kind of a marketing tool and another way to just be able to take what I thought was missing from the shows with other promoters and incorporate everything that I felt like should be at a show and do it my way and do it, you know, the way I feel like other people would enjoy it. And it's good, positive hip-hop, and it's needed, man. There's a lot of dope talent out there, and they all deserve to get a chance to shine. So, and then
is the plan to develop that into the radio show? Because I know we had talked about you're going to eventually have a radio show here on IPMNation.com. Is that also going to be called Underground Sounds?
Yeah, it's going to be called Underground Sounds. DJ Eyes is my DJ with the Underground Sound shows. We're working on trying to, you know, get some things put together. He needed some pieces of equipment, which I think he's acquired. So, you know, slowly but surely everything's coming together in its essence, but we're definitely making moves and do big things, man, and trying to really just uplift the underground because a lot of people forgot about it, and that's where the good music's at. So we're definitely trying to play our part and do what we can to keep hip-hop moving and keep it going to the highest level it can go.
And can you define for our listeners, when you say underground, what do you mean? I mean, I think people kind of have an idea of what that means, but how do you define underground when you use that term?
As far as underground goes, man, I just feel like Well, let's just put it this way. I really don't feel like it's underground because it's still being put out. So if people are hearing it and people are seeing it, it's not really underground. But it is underground because the artists are unsigned, and they have to make their own way pretty much in the game to be able to do what they need to do. And I think the difference between the artists that make the classic hip-hop now and the artists that made the classic hip-hop, you know, like golden era days, 94, 93, is those guys that pretty much paved the way for us to do it now. They had the record deals and the machine pushing them. Now everybody's got to do it independently. If you can catch that break to get on major, then you got to, you know, play your cards right in order to sustain and keep breathing air into it. So it's underground because you got to look for it. You know, you got to go underground and search for it, but it's there. So,
but it's outside the realm of what you're going to hear on commercial radio.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Yeah.
Music with a message, you know. It's not commercial music. It's just dope artists that put their life and their heart and their soul into what they create and feel like they have a meaning and a purpose to be able to bring that to who they bring it to.
Do you think that hip-hop gets... do you think that a lot of the artists and the material, do you think it gets tainted by the major labels? Because when I listen to underground hip-hop, and we play a lot of underground and independent hip-hop here on IPMNation.com, and a lot of what I hear... I mean, I'd much rather listen to that than listen to a commercial hip-hop station, because I think that with a lot of commercial hip-hop, there's definitely some formulas and there's trends, and a lot of it starts to sound the same. I mean, do you think a lot of these artists get kind of tainted by the major label system when they go there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of feel like it's like they get hired for a job, and if you don't do the job they want you to do, then they're going to replace you. So
it's basically a corporate position in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you look at the other side of it, we're independent businessmen. You know, we're subcontractors, if you want to say. We're our own contractors. We can do the type of work that we want to do and put the kind of quality into it and put our own edge and own, you know, mark on it so people know that it's ours.
Sure.
As opposed to, you know, 100 people sitting in the phone room all day taking phone calls. You know, it's just like, that's how it is. It's just
sure.
A corporate position. So if you don't play that position, they're going to find somebody that will.
Exactly. And there's always somebody to fill that spot. Do you, working in the underground scene or the independent scene or however you want to term it, do you feel that the internet makes that easier or gives you more opportunities to really promote what you're doing and to kind of push, you know, your own position in the independent scene?
The internet is good and bad because there's so many people on the internet. It's like, if you can get one out of every 20 people to listen, you're doing good.
It's a crowded field.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's just flooding.
Now, do you also...
And I'm in about 60 different groups on Facebook, and I hardly ever post in any of them because everybody's just constantly swarming these things. Check this out, check this out, check that out.
Yeah. So it's become diluted.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like with the underground sound shows, I actually go on like Reverb Nation and find different places where I can scout these artists that I want to come perform at these shows because I feel like they add an element to what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm weeding out all the bullshit and I'm just finding the dopeness. You know, excuse my mouth. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the air or not, but
man, it's internet radio. You can say whatever you want. No censorship here.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, it's a good way to build a reputation. You know, the more people that get down with what I'm doing, the more they're telling about it. The more people are hearing my name. So it's kind of a marketing tool to get my rep up and get my name out and get people to start knowing who I am. But at the same time, also let them know that it ain't just about me. It's bigger than me.
Sure.
I'm trying to do it for the whole game, you know?
Absolutely. And now we're going to be playing, we have a couple of tracks here in rotation of yours on IPMNation.com, and we're going to play one after the interview, and then we're going to play another one tonight at the end of the show. But let me ask you this. What is it, obviously you're a performer and you have your own music. What is it that made you want to take that step from not just being a performer and being an artist, but actually going and I guess promoter is what you would call it, actually going and putting these shows together? What drove you to take that step? What motivates you?
Honestly, I just got tired of performing at shows where there was no fans, and it was just the other people that were booked to perform waiting on their turn to get on stage. I mean, that's as cut and dry as I could put it, you know. I'm just tired of going to these shows, just like 15, 20 heads there. 10 of them are all from one group that's going to perform next. You know what I mean?
I've seen that play out a lot.
About me, they just want to get their turn on the mic and do what they do so they can go on about their business. So I started doing the underground sound shows to kind of tap into the market and build the fan base and grab the people that really want to hear the dope underground music and hear a DJ spin that stuff all night long. You can go to any club, probably in America, and hear what they play on the radio any night of the week.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Underground sounds is like every 2 months you can come and feel like you just like taken back in time, and the energy and the buzz that just comes into the room, like it's crazy, man. People come outside at the end of the night when it's about to shut down. They're laughing. Everybody's networking. It's real positive.
Yeah, good
vibes. Never any kind of dilemmas that jump off bullshit in the club. People trying to fight, none of that. It's positive.
Oh, that's great.
So,
and being in Florida, obviously there's no shortage of artists where you are, but do you also draw from other regions of the country, or do you kind of stay local with that? How does that work?
Well, a lot of the artists, some of the artists are, you know, from my city, some of them are from Tampa. And then other artists find out that I'm doing it and get in touch with me as well. Like, there's people from Lakeland that have contacted me. We had a young cat named Jay Cruz from Sarasota. He's like 14, 15.
Yeah.
He came up, so I'm drawing different people from, you know, other areas to my city to be able to put these shows on. And so it doesn't matter if they're willing to make the trip and perform. Lounge your people up and come do your thing.
Yeah, very cool. How often do you do these, by the way? Are they every weekend, or how frequent are they?
Nah, I try to do them like once every 2 months, maybe.
Okay.
Because I like to try and do it with the fact that it's not just some like every weekend type of show. Like, this is an event, and there's a lot of hard work and a lot of talent to expose and put out there. So I like to kind of spotlight it and build it up.
Absolutely. That way it doesn't become routine. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. That way each show is special. That's very cool. And
right.
Do you always do this at the same venue, or do you kind of tour around with it?
Yeah, we kind of tour around a little bit. The majority of the shows have been at this place, Sports Rock. It's just, you know, it's funny, man, because normally it's more like a rock bar, and people come in before the shows, and they're like, "You having what kind of show here?" But then when the DJ gets set up and we go underground with it, we just transform and set the scene off in a completely different vibe. But yeah, that's the goal, is to go, you know, other places with it, and eventually maybe even leave out of state and do it out of state as well.
Sure.
You know, all that takes time, but it's definitely in the plans.
Yeah, definitely achievable and a worthy goal. Absolutely. And where for people who want to find out about the shows, where they're happening, when they are, how can people find that information online? Where do they go?
You could check you can always hit me up at facebook.com/theunknownpoet. Reverb Nation, they usually post it on there. We're actually working on getting a website built that's going to cater specifically to that event. I was just talking about that with my DJ the other day.
Great, yeah.
We got to make it official, so we're going to get the official website up here pretty soon, and trying to work on maybe gaining some sponsors, take it to the next level. But
yeah. And you work with also, is it realhiphop.com? What's the website that you work with?
rarehiphop.com.
Rarehiphop.com, okay.
Yeah, rarehiphop.com.
What can you tell us about that? Are you affiliated with them? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I am affiliated with them. They just released the Underground Heat Volume 1 mixtape hosted by Grandmaster Kaz from the Cold Crush Brothers. It's groundbreaking. It's got artists from all over the country. Orion the Rebel is actually on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, again, man, trying to bring that underground back to the realm where it's marketable. People know that it's there if they really want that type of music.
Yeah.
I'm in the South, so it's an uphill battle with that. You know, it's like you go to some of these neighborhoods with music that sounds like New York type shit or whatever, you know, and
Sure.
they're like, they'll check it out, but they ain't really tuned into that. But some people are, so those are the ones you got to kind of go and find, like the ones that aren't biased to what's like right this second. You know, you got to find people that love the culture and love the music and love the art.
Sure. Well, I always say, you know, there's an audience for everything and anything, no matter how, you know, even if it's, whether it's something that appeals to a broad demographic, or even if it's something very targeted that only appeals to a very specific demographic of people, you know, the audience is out there. It's just a matter of finding them, and that's the challenge. But once you begin to find those people and build that niche and build that following, you know, then it's just a matter of taking it from there. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing, which is great.
Yeah, it's really untapped right now because, you know, that just kind of got left to the wayside as everything else became so commercialized and so mainstream. Like, there's really no market for that, especially, like, I mean, I'm giving these artists an opportunity to be able to do what they love on a platform where they can feel appreciated for it and know that, you know what I'm saying, there's somebody that gives a shit about what they're doing, you know?
Right, absolutely.
Like-minded individuals, like, we just bug out because every MC is so dope and everybody's a fan of hip-hop, so there's not even an ounce of hate in the building when these other dudes are performing because everybody has respect for what they do because we're all MCs and we're all on the same page with the level of music that we make.
That's really cool. I admire that. Definitely. I like the, you know, anytime when you can apply the positive vibe to something like that, because as someone who myself has done a lot of shows, I mean, I've done a lot of kind of along the lines of what you do, putting together shows, working as a promoter and whatnot. And, you know, sometimes it's positive and sometimes negative things happen too, but when it's positive, it's just so much better for everybody involved. The performers, the audience, you know, everybody who has anything to do with it is so much happier at the end of the night and gets so much more out of it when it's positive, you know?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good feeling.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Poet, we won't keep you much longer. I definitely want to play. We're going to play both tracks that we have in location. I think I'm going to play after we let you go. I'm going to play Untold Story. But
Okay.
Can you refresh our memories though? Just tell us one more time where we find you online.
Rarehiphop.com. I'm in the featured artist section. The big shout out to rarehiphop.com.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Taylor, his brother Greg, he's down here in Tampa, and we've got some things that we're going to set in motion as well, but definitely big ups to rarehiphop.com, man. They're good dudes. I actually found that site when it was a beta site on Craigslist in the Boston section because I would go online and the musician forums in the different cities and see what was going on and who I could connect with and where, and to get myself to where I wasn't just considered, you know, a local artist. I figured, you know, if I only deal with local dudes, I'm going to only be a local artist. So I started reaching out to people outside the states. That same way I found Orion. They had an ad on there or something for performers when they were coming here on tour. And they came, we did the show in St. Pete, and then the next day we rode out and went to Atlanta and did the show in Atlanta. So I'm just always constantly trying to find different outlets and different people. And now it's like, it's hard. It's crazy when you're constantly trying to go to it, but when it comes to you, you know, that's a good feeling. And it shows that the hard work's paying off. So
absolutely.
You can find me on rarehiphop.com. I fuck with them. I was, you know, down since day one pretty much with Rare Hip Hop, and they've done a lot for me with the Underground Heat tape. You know, it's crazy just to even have the fact that, I mean, Shock G's on that mixtape, Freeway's on there with on the track.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy named Super MC. There's some big artists, man. And on top of that, you know, Grandmaster Cat, he's a legend. And to have him actually voicing over my track about how we're the next legends in the game and we're the future of the underground hip hop, or just hip hop period, is, you know, an accomplishment itself.
That's very cool. Very cool. Well, Poet, thanks very much for joining us here tonight, man. We'll let you go. We're going to play this track in a second, but we'll definitely have to talk to you again in the near future, and we look forward to hearing that radio show when that's ready. Definitely excited about that.
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you about that. It's funny, too, Untold Story, when I first started actually trying to make moves and get involved in this, that's off an album that I had called The Thought Process. I formed a group called Infinite Poetics,
and
that was the very first song I ever completely recorded. So that's history right there for you. Very first track I ever recorded was me and my brother and another good friend of mine. I just started dealing with him right around the time frame that I was starting to get into the studio and record this album.
Yeah.
So that was the very first track we laid down for the album, period. Went in the studio, did it. It's a dope song. I don't remember what other song I sent you. I'm trying to think, but
we're also going to play Everybody Hating a little bit later, so
yeah, there you go.
We'll probably end the show tonight with that one. So cool. Well, Poet, we'll let you go, but try to stay cool down there in Florida. Keep the air conditioning on, and we'll talk to you again soon, man. Thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Man. Thanks for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime. Take care.
Okay, peace, man.
All right, so that was the Unknown Poet on the phone from Florida. Definitely like what he's doing. Definitely some good positive stuff. We're going to play this track. This is Untold Story. This is a really good tune. I like this a lot. And then when we come back, I haven't decided what we're going to do when we come back. By the way, Chris Rose is in the chat room, Paxton88. Hi, Chris. Chris did the show with me last week. He was here in the studio, and it was great. We had a really good time. Definitely a lively show. But when we come back, got a couple different options. I kind of want to talk about the debt ceiling, but I kind of want to tackle something else that's been eating away at me last couple days. Probably going to do that first. Do the debt ceiling afterward, because I got something to get off my chest. But let's hit this track, and then we'll come back and chat some more. You can listen to me rant. This is Untold Story from the Unknown Poet here on Matt Connarton Unleashed on the IPMNation.com live channel.
We did the fakes for you, hit the slate for you, sign his autographs in my glory, early morning dropping tracks for you, dead the fakes for you, hit the snakes for you, no more fake glory, yo, this shit is gory, check the untold story, check the story. Untold to this point, get me on the mic and I smoke like a joint, the saga begins in the early 80s, back before motherfuckers started acting shady, back before I had a lady, before I rocked Timbs and camos and played in the streets, now 21, riding beats in the lab, and all the scars from back then just seem to scab, ready to open up in a moment's time, and all them cats who scarred me will have their moment's time, a moment of truth just I stay laced dead in the fakes for you, hit the brakes for you. Nah, I'd rather run you over. Thought you was lucky, poet snatched a 4-leaf clover. Still broke, mash ass without a Range Rover. Steady close for you, let my man bang your hose for you. Please check your ears if you can't take the pain. Infinite poetics coming down like rain. The story. There's a battle in the night between darkness and light. Everybody grab your guns if you're ready to fight. People out in the world every day causing havoc. There's some money out there, my intention is to have it. So check it and listen to the untold story. Plug your ears if you don't want to hear it, cause it's gory. Street soldiers, let the guns blare in the air. In the hoods where it's only the cops that bring fear. The shit we see every day will make you shed a tear. And the cats that ain't adapted yet run away from here. The street life only brings struggle and strife. The memories cut through my soul like a knife. If you feel what I'm saying, you need to speak up. But if you don't and you're in your car, you need to speed up. No connections in my town, the result is beat up. Especially if you're boss, I'm thinking that you're G'd up. Cause teenage thugs just don't give a fuck. You got two choices, get off the street or get stuck. You think I had a choice about the life I was raised in? The money that I had, the clothes that I played in? If I did well, it wouldn't have been like that. Can't nobody have a life like this, this shit's whack. If you're listening, God, I need me some guidance. Until then, I'm living on the streets full of violence.
We did the fakes for you, hit the snake for you, sign this autographs in my glory. Early morning, dropping tracks for you, dead the fakes for you, hit the snakes for you, no more fake glory, yo. This shit is glory, check the untold story. Dead the fakes for you, hit the snake for you, sign this autographs in my glory. Early morning, dropping tracks for you, dead the fakes for you, hit the snakes for you, no more fake glory, yo. This shit is glory, check the untold story. But now you're here to touch something, see cash and flow something. Words of wisdom, thank you very much, you're very welcome. Now where did that come from? No matter the weather or time, I go flipping and they're coming to take me away as soon as this is written. And it's ill, these cats will kill skilled if you let them. Never let them stop with Nazi just smoking the sacred medicine. And hotter than a two spliffs, burning in my session. Pizza Tosh, Red X tapes, now in my hydrant. Mystic men hiding up under the bridge, writing. And fishing for MCs, I got degrees for the frying. You hand in hand, me and the mic stand, we stand like champs and ride, motherfuckers, ride or die. Hit the gas, but the more you take, that's the more you break. The more you work, is the more you break. Oh yes, but not here to touch something, see cash and flow something. Words of wisdom, thank you very much, you're very welcome. We did the fakes for you, hit the snake for you, sign this autographs in my glory. Early morning, dropping tracks for you, dead the fakes for you, hit the snakes for you, no more fake glory, yo. This shit is glory, check the untold story. Dead the fakes for you, hit the snake for you, sign this autographs in my glory. Early morning, dropping tracks for you, dead the fakes for you, hit the snakes for you, no more fake glory, yo. This shit is glory, check the untold story.
Wow, that's the first track he ever did. That's really good. That's Untold Story from the Unknown Poet here on Matt Connarton Unleashed on IPMNation.com this Friday night. That was great talking to him. Like I said, I really dig what he's doing. Very positive and very cool. He's going to have a radio show here on IPMNation.com in the hopefully near future called Underground Sounds. And always looking for new music programming here on IPMNation.com. And we're going to play another track from the Unknown Poet later on in the show tonight. But let's do a little housekeeping. I want to say hi to Chris Rose, who's in the chat room, Paxton88, joining us via chat tonight. And let's see. Oh, Chris has some information. FYI, Ustream Mobile works for iPhone and Droid users, but it's about 2 minutes behind the actual stream. So you hear us on a delay if you're listening to us on your iPhone or Droid. But thanks for that information, Chris. Also, he put in the chat room a joke from Letterman tonight. It was so hot in Washington, D.C., they had to turn on the debt ceiling fan. Hey, by the way, for people who are freaking out about the heat and who are complaining about, oh my God, I can't believe how hot it is, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. And I want you to, this is going to come as a shock to some of you. So, and it's not some sort of climate change thing or anything like that. I'm not even going to get into that tonight, but I just want you to know this. And remember this next time you're freaking out about how hot it is. It's summer. That's right, it's summer. Summertime is hot. I don't know if you all knew that, but for those of you who can't believe how hot it is, it's July. So anyway, I'm glad we had that talk. Hey, speaking of Chris, I want to thank Chris for not only participating in last week's episode of the show, and we had a great political conversation. You know what? Actually, technically last week, that's not correct because it was Sunday night. You know what's funny about Matt Connarton Unleashed? Not really funny, haha, but just funny. I don't know why it works out this way. But the official time of the show is Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I have to remember the Eastern Time because we have listeners all over the country. And thank you, by the way, for that, for everyone who listens. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. But I think at this point, this is episode 7, I believe. I think at this point, we've actually done more shows on other nights than we have on Tuesday nights. Tonight's Friday. We did a show Sunday night. I couldn't be here Tuesday night. Something came up, so we delayed the show till Friday. But I literally think we've done this show more times on off nights than we have on the official time of Tuesday night, 11 p.m., the official time for Matt Connarton Unleashed, which is fine. But it's just funny how it works out that way. But I'm, like I said at the top of the show, I'm kind of glad that we had to put this off till Friday night because it's been a very interesting week. A lot to talk about, a lot to share with you. Let me make this announcement before I forget, because this is very important. We have a new show premiering this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right after Norman Friends. It's going to be carried on TV23 right here in Manchester, New Hampshire, the local television affiliate that we work with. And, of course, it'll be simulcast on IPMNation.com as well. And we already have a show page built for it, and you'll be able to get archives of the show, and there's going to be a chat room and everything. The name of the show, this is what I've been told. Maybe it'll change, I don't know, but this is what I've been told by Mike Egan, the producer. The name of the show is Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. And it is a political show. It will be replacing the Marr Report. Of course, Cheryl Marr, as everyone knows, passed away recently. So this is going to be the new show. It's going to be hosted by New Hampshire State Rep Gary Hopper. Great guy. I like Gary a lot. And I have to look at this piece of paper because, and you'll understand why in a second. And his co-host is going to be Elizabeth Fitzpatrick Merrill. That's a long name. And hi, Elizabeth, if you're listening. You posted something on Facebook earlier that seemed to indicate that you might be listening. Or maybe you'll get the podcast if you're not listening live. But I had to look at the paper for your name because in my mind, I keep reversing it and thinking it's Elizabeth Merrill Fitzpatrick, but it's not. It's Elizabeth Fitzpatrick Merrill. Unless I wrote it down wrong. I don't know. Hopefully I got your name right. If I screwed it up, I apologize. That's a long name. I assume you did one of those married, hyphenated things. Anyway, so they are going to be the hosts of the show, and my understanding is that I will also be there on the show for at least the first couple of episodes to kind of make sure that everyone's settled and happy and comfortable, and if I'm invited to stay longer, I certainly will. I know that they're both kind of conservative Republicans. I don't mind being the Combs to their Hannity if I'm invited, but if not, if they want to just, whatever they decide. But Mike Egan, the producer, did ask me to at least be there for a couple of episodes just to kind of help them because they're new to this, although they both did the farewell episode of the Marr Report. And it's funny, before we went on the air, Elizabeth made a comment about how, she's like, what camera do I look at? I've never done this before. This is new to me. And she was kind of nervous, but I thought she did great. She was a pro, in my opinion. So she's going to do great. Gary's going to do great. Gary is a natural on television. Gary, he's obviously very serious about the issues, but he's got this kind of quirky sense of humor that I like. And he's got a great laugh. So I like Gary a lot. If Gary and I were to sit down and have an in-depth political discussion, we'd probably discover that we disagree on a lot of things because he's a Republican. I'm not that I'm some crazy liberal. I'm an independent, but I do have some liberal positions and I have some conservative positions. I'm starting to feel like my old liberal self, though. I used to be more liberal. I'm starting to feel that way again lately. The Republican Party is really getting under my skin, to be completely honest with you. But anyway, so that's the new show right after Norm and Friends. Of course, Norm and Friends is on 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on IPMNation.com and, of course, TV23. And Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I know, it's quite the title, isn't it? It really kind of grabs your attention, which is a good thing. That's going to be on right after from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern. And like I said, I'll be there to help out, and I think it's gonna be great. So, and I think Cheryl would be very proud that that Gary and Elizabeth are going to kind of take the ball and run with it as far as a new show in that time slot. So, I'm excited for everybody. I think it's going to be really, really cool, and it gives us another political show here on IPMNation.com, which is very cool. If you haven't looked at it, we do have an IPMNation.com politics channel, in addition to the many other channels here on the station. Oh, the other thing about Chris Rose I wanted to mention is I wanted to thank him publicly on the air for the new theme music. We have new theme music that you might have heard at the top of the show, where my name is actually, the name of the show is actually contained in the theme. So I think that's cool. It's kind of goofy and weird and silly. And oh, Trish has entered the chat room. I didn't look at the chat room. I'm really bad. Okay, guys. I'm really bad about looking at the chat room once I get going talking. I'm really, really bad. My pleasure, Matt, Chris says. Thank you. So if you write something in the chat room, I really want people to use the chat room. But if you write something in the chat room and I don't read it right away or I don't acknowledge it right away, please don't think I'm ignoring you, everybody. I'm just really bad at looking at the chat room once I get talking and ranting and I get worked up, especially if I start really flipping out like I'm probably going to do later because I have something to talk about that I'm pretty pissed off about. But Trish and Paxton88, glad to have you both in the chat. Anyone else wants to talk in the chat, please feel free. Also, please feel free to call us. The number is 603-518-5440. Yeah, it's right there on your screen. 603-518-5440. You can call up and say something nice and compliment me on the show. You can call up and tell me you hate me and I suck. You can do whatever. You can prank call me. Listen, though, seriously. Okay, about prank calls, a disclaimer. I like prank calls. If you want to call me up and do some weird character or do a celebrity, but the one thing that I ask you, please, please, make it clever, make it funny. Sometimes we get prank calls on Norm and Friends, and sometimes they're really funny and interesting and original, but sometimes they're really lame. The lame ones we just hang up on. If you prank call me and it's lame, I'm just going to hang up. But if you do something clever and funny, I'll play along, I'll roll with it, and it's internet radio, so you can say whatever you want to. There's no FCC regulation here to worry about. You can do whatever you want. Have fun with it. But just that disclaimer, please, if you're going to do it right. Do not, the computer froze for a second. Do not call the show and order food. I'm not going to mention any names, but a certain someone who is an IPMNation.com radio host, called one of our other shows, and I love it when hosts call each other's shows, shows a lot of support, good interaction. But a certain radio host, and I won't embarrass him, but he called one of our other shows and did the food ordering prank, where we answered the phone and he's like, yeah, I'd like to order a sandwich or whatever. That joke is older than my dead grandmother, okay? Do not call me and order food. Somebody did that to us one day on the Norm and Friends show. And I was like, wow, that is so lame. So don't do that. If you do that, I'm just going to hang up on you. Which reminds me, Paul Cormier was supposed to be on the show tonight. Paul is, of course, the host of Retrospectrum Radio here Monday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern on IPMNation.com. One of our most popular shows. And Paul is feeling ill. So, Paul, if you're listening, hope you feel better soon. He was going to come on and argue with me about the death penalty. But Trish is asking, what's up with the stupid ads that pop up in the middle of shows now? I know that sucks. It's annoying. But they won't be in the podcast. So that's good news anyway. All right. Here's what I think we're going to do. I'm gonna. I want to get into what I'm upset about. Now, anyone who's been listening to IPMNation.com knows. Well, at least if you've been listening for a while, you're probably aware that sometimes. Look, we have a lot of programming on here, and sometimes people who work with the station, are connected with the station, have a show on the station, sometimes conflicts arise between hosts, between producers. We have a large network of people that we work with now on this, on IPMNation.com. Chris in the chat room, Chris Rose, there was a pretty epic argument that he got into with Norm Moody right here in the studio that didn't go out on the air live, but I did have it recorded, so we put it in the podcast. That was amazing. Of course, they're friends now. They made up. Everything's good. Norm's gotten into quite a few on-air arguments with other people. He's gotten into arguments with Glenn R.J. Willett. There's all kinds of conflict. And, of course, the epic argument that a lot of our listeners are probably aware of is, of course, the fight between Paul Cormier and Retrospectrum Radio, his show, and his feud with the Mansterdam crew, which is, of course, Ryan Gorman, Peter White, and John Manning, also known as DJ Midas. And that's never really stopped. They got into an epic on-air battle, calling each other's shows. Huge argument. And every time it seems like it settles down, and then there's no activity for a while, and everyone's cool, and everyone's just kind of ignoring each other, somebody starts shooting off their mouth again, and next thing you know, we're back to the feud and the arguing. And I stay neutral on all that stuff, because I don't take sides. I'm not going to take the side of Retrospectrum Radio or of Mansterdam. I'm not going to side with Paul. I'm not going to side with the other guys. I always say, think of me as Sweden. I'm neutral. Because of my position, and I have to run this whole thing, and they're all my friends. I love Paul. He's a great guy. He's kind of intense. He gets a little angry sometimes, but he's a good dude. I like Paul very much. I enjoy doing his show, and I like the guys from Mansterdam. All three of them, great dudes. I really love working with them. They work hard. They've got this whole Mansterdam channel that we've developed here on IPMNation.com, and they have all this new programming that we're putting on the station now, and working with them has been great. I love all you guys. You're all my brothers here in this IPMNation.com family. So I don't take sides. Somebody pissed me off this week, though. Someone who is not a core member, so to speak, of the IPMNation.com family, but is kind of a part of it tangentially, kind of a member of the extended family. See, we have several other. I'm getting a text message from. All right. Well, that has nothing to do with the show, so I'm not going to read it. Actually, no, I'm not going to read it. That'd be kind of funny, but no, I'm not in the mood. It has to do with a dead fish. Not that that's funny, but my friend Nicole, she's silly. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay. Wow, I got really... sometimes I think I'm developing adult ADD or something. Where was I going with this? Okay, so we have we have broadcast partners who we work with whom we produce programming, with whom we share programming. And one of our broadcasting partners is TV23, right here. Actually, they're right basically across the street from where we do all this. TV23 here at our home base in Manchester, New Hampshire. A local television station, but of course you can watch them online from anywhere in the world. And you can also watch their programming right here on IPMNation.com. We have a TV23 channel right here on IPMNation.com. Now, some of the shows, we have an active working relationship as far as the shows themselves. For example, Mansterdam. while it's being broadcast on TV23 Wednesday nights, you can also watch it not only through the TV23 portal here on IPMNation.com, but through the Mansterdam channel here on IPMNation.com. And we archive the shows and we promote that show as though it were an actual IPMNation.com show. Same thing with Norman Friends. The same time that it runs on TV23, it's also running on IPMNation.com. We archive all the shows. So we're directly involved with some of these shows, this programming that we share with TV23. We had the same arrangement with the Mar Report. We're going to have the same arrangement with the new show that debuts this coming week, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. So we have all these shows where we basically share the programming. And they're really TV23 shows, but IPMNation.com is directly involved with them, hands-on, and we also actively promote and run and archive the shows. We run podcasts of the shows here on our station, IPMNation.com. Now, there is also other programming on TV23 where basically all the shows, everything that runs on TV23 technically also runs on IPMNation.com to a limited extent. Because all the shows, we have the TV23 portal, the channel here on IPMNation.com. So anything that's running on TV23, you can also watch on IPMNation.com. Now, the other shows that I didn't mention, all that other stuff, we don't have any direct involvement in it. We don't have any production input. We don't archive the shows or anything like that. Only those specific shows I mentioned do we have an active working relationship. But all the shows, even the shows where we're not directly involved, they all run on IPMNation.com. So all those hosts and producers and everybody who works on all those other shows, I sort of think of them as extended family. They don't work for IPMNation.com, but their programming does run through our site, as well as through TV23. But we have no direct involvement. So, I mean, honestly, most of those people I don't even know. I've never even met them. Now, there is a show that runs on TV23, and therefore on the IPMNation.com TV23 channel on Wednesday nights right before Mansterdam. The name of the show is Stir It Up. Stir It Up. And the name of the host is Tom Ford. Now that I've told you the name of the show and the name of the host, because I'm annoyed with this person and his little show, going forward, from this moment on, I will no longer refer to him by his real name, but I will instead refer to him simply as Doughboy. And for those of you who are thinking, oh, Matt, you're going to call him a name, that's an ad hominem, that's not cool. Come on, you don't have to do that. You're better than that. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not better than that. And you know what? You're gonna understand a little bit later why I'm not better than that and why I'm not going to call him by his real name from this point forward. So from now on, he is Doughboy. So when I say Doughboy, that's who I mean. Oh, and by the way, his show, Stir It Up, from this moment forward, I will now refer to his show as Throw It Up. Okay, yeah, I know, it's kind of weak, it's not that clever, but whatever, I don't give a shit. Throw It Up, that's the name of his little show. That's the name of Doughboy's little show. Yes, Doughboy. That's his name now. I hereby christen him Doughboy. It's official. In the IPMNation.com universe, he is Doughboy. So, some of you may have seen or heard, Paxton88 suggests Soulless Suckfest. That doesn't roll off the tongue, Soulless Suckfest. Well, maybe it does. I'm going to stick with Throw It Up. No offense, Chris. I know, it's just a thought, but I'm going to stick with Throw It Up. It just rolls off the tongue a little easier. Okay, so that was my nickname for VE, he says. Chris Rose, for anyone who doesn't know, is the host of Verbal Ejaculation, which can be heard here, I almost said heard here Sunday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so IPMNation.com listeners are probably, is that still on, Trish says? Are probably familiar with Throw It Up because it's on right before Mansterdam on Wednesday nights. So if you watch Mansterdam here on IPMNation.com, because it's not just a radio show, you can actually watch the TV version live as it happens. You may have seen the last few minutes of Throw It Up. That's the only reason I ever see Throw It Up, is because I'm waiting for Mansterdam to start. Because what happens is when Mansterdam airs live on Wednesday nights, I'm at the computer in the studio recording the audio podcast of it so that I can get that up on the Mansterdam page on IPMNation.com. So you have the podcast to download. So because of that, because I'm at the computer preparing to record the audio podcast of Mansterdam, I sometimes am subjected to the last few minutes of Throw It Up, the soulless suckfest that it is, and subjected to Doughboy. Now, what's kind of funny about this, I'll get to why I'm upset with Mr. Boy in a minute, but what's kind of funny about this is I'm not the first one to ever be upset with him. You know, I talked about these feuds earlier, these little feuds between shows. There was, before Mansterdam's feud with Paul and Retrospectrum Radio, they had an epic feud with Doughboy and Throw It Up. And what's kind of funny about this is, if you go to the Mansterdam page, you can actually find the audio podcast from January, I believe January 5th is the date, where the Mansterdam guys spent an entire hour basically trashing Doughboy and Throw It Up because of the conflict that they had had on the previous week's show. Very interesting and entertaining stuff. And the only reason the podcast, but here's what's kind of funny. I didn't put that podcast up because I was mad at Doughboy. I actually put the podcast up before I was mad at Doughboy. It's just kind of how it all worked out. See, what happened is, when we began carrying Mansterdam here on IPMNation.com, of course, we started archiving all the podcasts on the site. But now, we've decided to go back, because the show has been so successful for us, we've decided to go back and start uploading previous shows that predate our working relationship. And I went back and I found an archive of the show from January 5th of this year, the episode that Mansterdam apparently got into a lot of trouble for because of some of the things that they said about Doughboy and his show Throw It Up. Now, this was before I was upset with Doughboy. I just went back and I found this, and I thought it was funny. So we uploaded it. And I even went back to the episode before that. I actually went back and checked out a few things because I wanted to fully understand the entire feud between Mansterdam and Throw It Up. And by the way, just like the feud between Mansterdam and Retrospectrum Radio really never seems to be quite over, they'll still throw barbs at each other. Same thing with the feud between Mansterdam and Throw It Up. I mean, the night that I was there, the night that I was a guest on Mansterdam, just the changeover in the studio between shows is so awkward. Very awkward. But, so that was just a coincidence that I just happened to find that archive and upload it. At that point, I had no problem with Doughboy at all. Like I said, I try not to take sides in this stuff. I'd never met Doughboy. I'd never really had a conversation with him. You know, whatever. His conflict with Mansterdam, that's their deal. What do I care, right? But I uploaded the podcast because it makes for good radio. It's very entertaining. So then, this past Wednesday evening, I'm at the computer in the studio. I'm preparing to record the audio from the TV23 live feed of Amsterdam. The best of Amsterdam is what they did this week. And that is up on the Amsterdam page if you want to check it out. Some good stuff. But as I was preparing, of course, Throw It Up. There's Doughboy and Throw It Up on my computer screen because I'm waiting for Amsterdam to start. And Doughboy apparently is having a difficult time, from what I'm hearing, finding a permanent co-host. He had this college girl on with him for a long time, but I guess he pissed her off and she quit. And since then, he's doing this kind of rotating thing. He has different people on every week, I guess. And he's trying to find a permanent co-host. Now, I don't want to say the name of the gentleman who was on with him this week, only because his co-host that he had on this week is someone I happen to know, and I consider him a friend. It's someone I happen to like very much. So I don't want to mention his name in all this because I don't want to, because it's someone I like and respect, I don't want to insinuate him into the whole thing with Doughboy. So you're going to hear the voice of the co-host during the audio clip that I'm going to play for you. But I mean, his name's Bill, but I'm not going to say his last name or where he's from or anything, because like I said, I like Bill. And I've had some really great conversations with Bill, actually, and I don't want to insinuate Bill into Doughboy and his, doughiness. So, and if you haven't seen Doughboy, he's just, the name just suits him. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play you because, okay, they started talking about a very specific subject on their show on Throw It Up Wednesday night. And when I heard them initiate the discussion about this particular topic, I decided to do something I never thought I would do. I decided to actually record. I hit record and started recording Throw It Up. Normally, I would never do that. It's not a show that we carry on IPMNation.com, aside from the live feed that comes through the TV23 channel. Beyond that, I've never given a shit about the show. The show sucks. It's painful to watch. It's painfully boring. Doughboy has no charisma. He doesn't belong on television. He sucks. Everything about the guy sucks. But I decided to go ahead and hit record. I'm just responding to something in the chat room here. The ads won't be in the podcast. I decided to go ahead and hit record because when the subject came up, I was like, this is something I might want to keep. And I'm glad I did because it went to a weird place that I wasn't happy about. And I decided that this was something I wanted to address. So I'm now going to play for you this clip. It's about 5 minutes long. It's a little hard to, it might be hard to sit through in some ways because after all, Doughboy sucks, but I want you to listen to it. And then I'm going to respond to what happens during this 5-minute period during Throw It Up this past Wednesday night. And then you'll understand maybe a little bit better why I'm upset with Doughboy. So, let me pull up the audio here. And just bear with me. Just listen to this for a minute, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss.
I know what I've heard, and I know some other things, and I don't know if you know, but before we get into that, some other conspiracy theories that I'd like to touch upon, and one is, and it was touched upon a little bit today, and last week, as I said, we did our show remote from the art show, and I found it from you, actually, about Cheryl, Mayer.
Mayer, yep.
Mayer. And it was shocking. And, if you watch my show maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, the first time I saw her show, very impressed with how she comported herself. And, I felt she was a little easy on her guest, who their topic hit close to home. They were talking about guardian ad litem reform, and I've had some bad experiences with guardian ad litems. And as had she, and she was on what I felt was the right side of the issue. I felt she was a little soft on the guy who said, "No, really, I swear, we're reforming it." And I tend not to take people at their word when it's easy to say you're fixing a problem when he offered no real tangible evidence that he was.
We did talk. You and I talked about that.
We
on
did.
The
We
show
talked
about 3-4 weeks ago,
and in depth at your shop. And I watched her show again, and when I had missed her show the third time she was on, I said later, if anyone knows what she talked about, call and tell me. I thought she was really bright and really articulate and doing a lot of good stuff. I thought she was a good fit, and she was murdered, and I was shocked. And the reason that I brought it up around the subject of conspiracy theories is then finding out she was murdered and not knowing much about the woman and never having met her, even though I intended to meet her, we started looking into it a little bit. And as brutal and sensational of a murder as it was, there was a blurb in the Union Leader, and that was it. They took it off their website. They never had a follow-up article. It was literally a blurb. It was on page 3.
Well, the news about it really didn't hit all of the media in this area as well as Utah, because that's where she's originally from, I guess.
Okay. And
until Tuesday, and it all went down at 5 a.m. Sunday morning. So that kind of prompted a little question mark in my mind. I'm not sure why it took so long, and maybe there was just not enough information to put out there, but it wasn't covered, or at least I did not hear anything about it until Tuesday.
And I had read the thing, but I didn't make the connection with the name, even though I knew that woman's name. And if you remember, every time I talked about her on the show, I had to ask Joe, what was her name again? What was her name? And in fact, I don't know if it was Norm's partner, when they did somewhat of a tribute to her, they kept calling it the Mar something else. They kept getting the name of the show wrong, because it was really the Mar experiment.
Report
regime.
Yeah.
They kept calling it report, the Mar report, and it was really the Mar regime. And like Norm got into some dark humor that had nothing with her picture running behind, and he's joking with Allison, his guest, and he's going, "I will kill you," like not having anything to do with Cheryl, but with Cheryl's running in the background. It was just, the whole thing was so bizarre.
Sorry about that. I forgot to unmute the mic. Where to begin? Okay. First of all, can we not... I know some people like conspiracy theories, and they're kind of fun and they're kind of interesting. But when we lose a family member, because she, Cheryl Maher, she was only here with us. She was only a part of this family for a short time. But can we not get into try to make some sort of cheesy conspiracy theory? Usually when these guys talk about conspiracy theories, they talk about how the Masons really run the world and we're really all aliens and there's reptilian shapeshifters running around and all this crap, whatever. But can we not turn this into some sort of weird tabloid thing on your show? What is this, Inside Edition, with that crappy show Bill O'Reilly did back in the 90s before he worked for Fox News? I mean, come on. Can we not do that? But you know what? Here's what really, really pissed me off about this. I really didn't appreciate this whole thing about where Doughboy, by the way, the name of the show is Throw It Up. Doughboy, the host of Throw It Up, the soulless suckfest that it is, where he starts in with his, okay, you know what? Let me preface this by saying this. Yes, he did say some nice things. He said some very nice things and some complimentary things about Cheryl. and deservedly so, in the beginning of this whole thing, before he went into his little conspiracy theory bullshit, okay? So before he got kind of inappropriate with it, he did manage to say some nice things. But here's what I didn't like. He starts, what is this going off on Norm and I about our Norm and Friends show? When, you know, we did our tribute to Cheryl. Norm and Friends is 2 hours long, and we had Cheryl's pictures in the background, and you know, it was nice, and we had a couple of guests on, and we did a lot of reminiscing about Cheryl and all that, and we tried to do a nice tribute to her. But of course, over the course of that 2 hours, yes, there was some joking around, there was some levity. I mean, when people are grieving, they could use a little humor, right? We didn't spend the entire 2 hours crying and being depressed and grieving. I mean, you know, we also tried to have a little bit of fun. The show must go on, and that's what we did. It was, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Right? Okay? Who is this guy? Who is this douchebag, doughboy, to sit there and criticize us? You know, he didn't even know Cheryl, okay? He talks about how, you know, he wanted to meet her and talk to her sometime. This douchebag never even met her. We were her friends. We were the ones who worked with her on the show. And by the way, we did not get the name of the show wrong, douchebag. He's sitting there talking about how, oh, they got the name of the show wrong. They couldn't even get the name of the show right. Talking about us like we're a couple of idiots. Like we're too fucking stupid to even get the name of the show right. Are you kidding me? Douchebag. The name of the show changed, okay? For the first couple of episodes, it was called The Mar Regime. And then they decided to change the name to The Mar Report. We didn't get the name of the show wrong, you freak. I was Cheryl's co-host on that show. I'm not just Norm's partner, as you referred to me. You can't even call me by my name. That's why you're Doughboy. That's why I'm not even going to call you by your name, because you don't even call me by my real name. And I know why you won't. I know why you won't say my name out loud, because you're either too stupid to remember it, because you kept referring at the beginning of the segment, you're referring to Cheryl as Cheryl Mare. Her name isn't Mare, it's Mar. But I know why you don't like me, because you associate me with Mansterdam, right? Right? Is that why the other week, before all this happened, I encountered you on the staircase? I'm leaving the building, you're coming up, and I say, oh, hey, how's it going? Being my normal, friendly self, because you and I had never had a face-to-face conversation with you before, and I had no issue with you. Mansterdam hates you. I had no issue with you, right? And all you did was sort of grumble and look at the floor and basically try to ignore me. Is that because you're just an asshole and you're not friendly to strangers? No, you know exactly who I am, and you can't even say my name. Yeah, Norm's partner, nah. Screw you, Doughboy. I have a name, and I know the name of the damn show. The show was called The Mar Report. Oh, I love how you're sitting there. You're so smug. You're so smug. You're sitting there going, oh, they couldn't even get the name of the show right. They kept saying Mar Regime, and it was called the Mar Experiment. You didn't even know the name of the show, you fucking idiot. Sitting there criticizing us. How dare you criticize us? We're sitting there doing the best we can in a tough situation. You don't like that we make little jokes? You don't like that we use some levity and some humor? You know, we're supposed to, what? We're supposed to sit there and cry for 2 hours? You know what's a big pet peeve with me? Is people who criticize and make judgments about how other people grieve. I hate that shit. That is some seriously arrogant bullshit. That pisses me off. When I hear someone say, oh, you know, I saw so-and-so at the funeral and they weren't even crying. I couldn't even tell if they were upset. You know, we've all heard that. We've all had experiences like that where somebody makes a judgment about how somebody else reacts to someone's death. It's bullshit. Everyone grieves in their own way. Some people cry, some people try to use humor and laugh, some people just kind of shut down. Everybody has the right to do whatever the hell they want. So don't sit there, Doughboy, you fat, pasty-faced, doughy freak. Don't sit there and judge us, how we conduct ourselves on our show. We're sitting there heartbroken over losing Cheryl, and you're sitting there judging us? You didn't even watch the whole show. You probably watched 5 minutes of it when Norm's making his jokes about a completely different subject. God forbid we inject some humor into the situation, right? And you're sitting there judging us, Doughboy? And you're sitting there so smug, making your little judgments about, oh, Norm's partner's sitting there and he doesn't even know the name of the show. Screw you, you idiot. I was Cheryl's partner on her show too. And of course I know the name of the show. You're the one who didn't know the name of the show. Somebody ought to, seriously, somebody should have walked over there and slapped you. I mean, seriously, I mean, how dare you sit there and criticize us and rip on us and talk about us like we're these amateurs, like we're these idiots because we don't even know the name of the show and we're calling it the wrong name. You're a moron. You're an absolute freaking moron. And you don't belong on television and you don't belong on radio and your show sucks and you're a freak and a loser. Does anyone even watch your show? Does anyone listen to your show? Does anyone give a shit? When you weren't talking about what you were talking about in that clip, the rest of what I heard on your show that night was you talking about how people should take down their yard sale signs after they're done. That's literally what you were talking about on your stupid little show, bitching about how people should take their yard sale signs off the trees and the telephone poles when they're done because leaving them there is an eyesore. That's what you were talking about on your show, the rest of the show that I heard, that I could actually stomach before I threw up, because the show is Throw It Up, right? That is the name, right? Doughboy? Sitting there making your little judgments all smug, like you're so much better than us. What, are you jealous because we have a show that people actually watch and give a shit about? Does anyone actually care about your show? Who actually sits there and watches Throw It Up? Anybody? Why would anyone? It sucks. You suck. Seriously, the show is awful. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot about this. All this shit that happened before I was pissed at you, Doughboy, me going back and finding that archived episode of Mansterdam where they spent the entire hour ripping on you, and the little encounter in the hallway where you basically blew me off because treated me like I wasn't good enough for you to even acknowledge. Before that happened, I heard you on a previous show sitting there at the end of your show all by yourself because apparently no one wanted to co-host the show with you that week. I saw you sitting there all by yourself whining like a little baby about how, oh, all these other people, they support each other's shows. They call into these other shows. All these other hosts and producers, they all support each other. I wish they'd support my show. I wish Norm would call me sometime on my show. I know the Mansterdam guys don't like my show. Nah. And I know, oh, and this was the best part, right? And you go, and I know I don't have a show on IP Nation. Yeah, you couldn't even get that right. It's IPM Nation, you freaking idiot. I know I'm not cool because I don't have a show on IP Nation. Yeah, you know why? You know why no one from IPMNation.com has ever approached you about actually, and by the way, you idiot, your show does run on IPMNation.com. We have the TV23 channel on IPMNation.com. All the programming streams through there. So technically, your show does run on our station, you moron. But you know why no one's ever approached you about making your show an IPMNation.com show, or approached you about offering you your own separate show on the station, or building you a page for your show on IPMNation.com where we archive the episodes? You know why, Doughboy? Because your show sucks. No one wants anything to do with it. That's why you can't keep a permanent co-host. But seriously, how dare you? What a douchebag. How dare you sit there and go, Norm's partner was on and he didn't even know the name of the show. Oh, you know what? You know what? And if you don't like humor being injected into anything, God, I hope you didn't listen to the or watch the farewell show that we did of the Mar Report, because, oh my God, Doughboy, guess what? During that show, even though it was a very solemn affair, and we tried to do a very nice, very classy tribute to Cheryl, there were actually a few moments of levity. Oh, by the way, Doughboy, if you don't know what the word levity means because you're too stupid, it means humor. Yes, there was actually a little bit of humor injected into the show. You know, just some jokes here and there, or some funny stories about Cheryl, or we picked on each other a little bit during the show, and we tried to have a little fun, inject a little humor into it. Did you watch? We have something to say about it, right? You probably don't like that either, right? How dare you? You're an asshole. You really are. Do you know? This is what's so funny is, before this happened, before you pissed me off, before I had nothing against you, not only, it's so weird, all the little things that led up to this. The encounter in the on the stairway where you basically ignored me, and me finding that archive of Mansterdam tearing you down live on the air, and what was the other thing? Oh, me hearing you whining on the air. Before all that happened, the other thing that happened? I had a conversation with a couple of people who know you pretty well, and not the Mansterdam guys, a couple of other people. And it was a confidential conversation. I won't mention their names, but they've definitely, let's just say, they're fixtures on TV 23. And, dude, does anyone like you? Does anyone have anything? I literally have heard so much about you just lately, leading up to this. And I've come to the realization nobody likes you. Everyone thinks you suck. Oh, and the other thing apparently, there's a certain IPMNation.com host who you invited to come and be your co-host on your TV show, who declined because your show sucks. He didn't say it to your face. He told you that he was busy. Didn't want to hurt your feelings. So anyway, Doughboy, with your little throw it up show, I think I've said my piece. But I think you're a douche. And I don't know what else to say. I don't think I've ever been that angry on the air before. I get worked up about politics and a lot of things, but and I don't usually, I don't know. I don't usually do this, what I've done tonight. I don't usually do this. But listening to that clip again, while I was waiting to comment on it, listening to it again tonight during the show, it just made me angry all over again. To listen to you, just so, you're such an ass. Listening to you go, oh, and Norm's partner was on, and he doesn't even know the name of the show, and he called it the Mar experience or experiment or something. You're an asshole. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. And you know what? If you don't even know what you're talking about, you should shut the hell up. Anyway, show's running a little long tonight, but I do want to talk a little bit of politics. I want to get into the debt ceiling thing for a few minutes, just for a few minutes. So we're going to play, we have another track to play by the Unknown Poet. I want to play this track. This is appropriate. It's called Everybody Hatin'. This is the other track that we have currently in rotation on IPMNation.com. We'll play that. I want to come back, talk a little politics. It's a long one tonight, but I have more to say. I'm not done. It's a Friday night. It's the weekend. And frankly, I just need to take a breath for a minute. So we're going to play this track. Don't go anywhere. There's still more to come tonight on IPM Nation on Matt Connarton Unleashed. This is Everybody Hatin' from the Unknown Poet.
Yeah, y'all know how it is. Haters be hating, man. Nobody wanna see you come up. Big things. Fuck it.
Gotta stay fly,
fresh kicks with new gear, doing brand new things. It's a brand new year. Oh shit, Moa with the flow that's so sick. Say some dopeness that you think's atrocious. My flow by the minute get deeper like a preacher. Out of school at 17, but the streets was my real teacher. I rap the street sweeper, let the heat beat you. Tell the truth, a cat like me don't need you. And I don't want the games. Do it for the love first, but I want the fame. Then the money and the power and respect come with it. Put a mic in my hand, you can bet I get dumb with it. You dumb with it, know nothing at all. Put me in the back of the pack and I still stand tall like an oak tree. You don't know me, so back it on up with a pace that's slow G. I'm 28 with the status of OG. Plus a message for the haters, all you bitches can blow me. On both knees, I don't even trust my homies. And if you see me fall, then you see me explode. To everybody hating, underestimating, it's the unknown poet and I'm back for the taking. It ain't no faking cause I'm breaking it down. And you can call a Mayday cause I'm taking it down. To everybody hating, underestimating, it's the unknown poet and I'm back for the taking. Better learn your place, show we stating it loud. In the dirty, dirty south, have you facing the ground. Yo, it's the takeover, kid, I'm back with the new shit. Looking at these cats like they ain't gon' do shit. Not a DJ, but when I spit, they say woo kid. True this, cat be fresh with the newness. Who this? I'ma tell you once more. A new poet get it crunk without getting on the dance floor. Your chance for hating, straight dissipating. Cause when I wreck shop, it's whore like Wes Craven. The best staying in the house, locking the door. Wanting some more, equivalent to wanting a war. And I'm a soldier, so we can battle anytime. Meet me in the streets, let them rattle anytime. Any line you got, bitch, I got one better. So cold with the head up that you'll need 3 sweaters. You'll be writing letters to your wife and seeds, saying sorry that you don't have the life you need. But it ain't about you, cause it's all about me. All the tech on the track make the verse sound sweet. Different point of view of how the dirty south be. Now roll another blunt in them dirty south trees. To everybody hating, underestimating, it's the unknown poet and I'm back for the taking. It ain't no faking cause I'm breaking it down. And you could call a Mayday cause I'm taking it down. To everybody hating, underestimating, it's the unknown poet and I'm back for the taking. Better learn your place, show we stating it loud. In the dirty, dirty south, have you facing the ground. If I don't get it now, I ain't gonna get it at all. Spitting it wrong, talk shit, get hit in the jaw. I'm trying to come up but these shites and cats are fitting my phone. I don't wave, I just really grab my dick in my balls and say fuck it. Cause I come through with the Uzi in a bucket. Got the craft mastered and the motherfucker love it. So step it up, you reppin' against if you ain't reppin' us. Strong water be the only way you wettin' us. You sweating us like a bitch at a wedlock. Got the game twisted like the hairs in a dreadlock. It's deadlock when I set my sights on it. Throw my name out there to set the lights on it. My vomit from these 20 lines of fake ass bricks. Plus they coming sideways with they fake ass hits. My vomit from these 20 lines of fake ass bricks. Plus they coming sideways with they fake ass hits. To everybody hating, underestimating, it's the unknown poet in the back for the taking. It ain't no faking cause I'm breaking it down. And you can call a Mayday. No poet in the back for the taking. Better learn your place, show them stating it loud. In the dirty, dirty south, have you facing the ground.
That's Everybody Hating from the Unknown Poet, who joined us for an interview at the top of the show. And as I mentioned, he's going to have a show coming up here on IPMNation.com called Underground Sounds. Very excited about that. That's going to be cool. And it was great to talk to him earlier. Really enjoyed that conversation. And that song, Everybody Hating, I would like to dedicate that to Doughboy, host of Throw It Up, which you can vomit to every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time here. If you go to IPMNation.com, you do so on an empty stomach, or you're going to make a big mess. If you don't want to vomit, make sure you don't turn on Mansterdam until right at 11. So, got something else I want to mention tonight. We'll talk a little bit of politics before we wrap up. It was a very big day today politically because the... as we've gotten into on the show quite a bit recently, the debt ceiling talks have been ongoing, but they keep stalling. And a big stall today. We are still apparently no closer to a deal on raising the debt ceiling. August 2nd is going to come soon, and it's breathing down our necks already in the sense that the credit rating agencies continue to threaten to lower the credit rating of the United States. It's a very dangerous situation. And listen, my friends, if you don't feel, if it's never really occurred to you that our nation's so-called leaders are failing us, and that it's almost like they have a subconscious need to drive us over a cliff. And that's exactly what's happening right now. This is incredible. And it's not as though, look, some say, well, okay, they're not going to let the country default on our debt. They're going to figure something out before August 2nd. It is much too politically dangerous for either side to actually let the country go into default. And I get that. And hopefully that's true, that they will get it figured out before August 2nd and that they will finally come to an agreement. But here's the problem. As the clock is ticking, there's that August 2nd deadline, but there's also this very real danger that Moody's and Standard & Poor's and whoever else, that they're going to lower our credit rating, our country's credit rating, before August 2nd. It could happen any day now, because the longer we put this off, the more it looks like we're actually in danger of defaulting. So we're in trouble now. We're in trouble now, not on August 2nd. Now, if we go into default on August 2nd, then we're in even more trouble. And by the way, Chris Rose and I had an extensive conversation about this on Sunday night's edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed. If you want to go back and listen to that, I don't want to rehash all of that, but we talked about it then, and the teabaggers and how they actually want the country to default because they're sticking to their principles, but it's a very dangerous situation. What happened today? I guess. Boehner walked out. Boehner wasn't happy. He walked out. He wouldn't return the president's call at one point. Pretty disrespectful. You know what occurred to me, and I haven't heard anyone else mention this, is, okay, in the past, as we all know, the raising of the debt ceiling has been a simple housekeeping matter. It was raised 7 times during the Bush administration. It's been raised, I think, something like 18 times during the Clinton administration, right? So this is a routine thing. Now it's not a routine thing. Now both sides are actually using it as a political football in the debate over whether to raise taxes or lower taxes or what are we going to do. Now, what occurred to me, though, is now that this has happened and is playing out this way, does this mean that we're going to have to go through this now every single damn time we have to raise the debt ceiling? Are we going to go through this whole process where we basically drive near the cliff and get as close as we possibly can without going over? Is this going to happen every time now? Because this has never happened before. This has never been an issue before. But now it's like this game of chicken that we're playing with the economy. Are we going to do this every single time and turn it into a debate? I mean, it's madness. This can't happen every time. This shouldn't be happening now. It needs to be done. And they're arguing over taxes. And the Republican position is, look, I'm a what I call a recovering Democrat. I used to be a Democrat. Now I'm an independent because both parties annoy me so much and frustrate me so much. But on this issue, I have to agree with the Democrats. I have to agree with Obama. We have to raise revenue. And, the Republicans are so blatantly dishonest on this issue. It makes me insane. It makes me insane because this whole thing, well, we can't raise taxes on the very rich. I mean, obviously we can, and that's where we should because they can afford it. And we need to kick up revenue to pay down the debt. But they say, well, we can't do that because if you raise taxes on the rich, you're raising taxes on the nation's job creators. That's bullshit. The nation's job creators are America's small businesses. That's the engine that drives this economy. The rich people, the really rich people, are just holding on to their money. They can afford to kick in a little more. This notion that, well, you can't raise taxes on the rich. You know what? You know what I liked? You know what I heard that I liked was the compromise that the so-called Gang of Six came up with, where you don't necessarily raise taxes, but you begin to eliminate some of these loopholes so that they can't take as many deductions, which is a tax hike in one sense. But the dirty little secret, and this is where the Republicans are so dishonest, is that rich people, they talk about rich people like, oh, it's unfair that it's it's a graduated tax. The way the tax brackets are, they're progressive, so that the more money you make, the bigger the percentage of your income you have to pay in. It's bullshit. The rich people, the very rich in this country, they don't really pay whatever tax bracket they're in. That's not really what they pay, because rich people can afford to hire lawyers and accountants to make sure that they're able to take every possible deduction and take advantage of every possible loophole. Oh, and those jobs that they supposedly create with all this wealth that they have, guess what? They're tax advantage to sending those jobs overseas. So even that argument is bullshit. They don't really pay taxes. They certainly don't pay anywhere near the amount of taxes that they supposedly claim. Oh, supposedly if you make $1 million a year, you're giving away 40% of your money to the government in taxes. So we're punishing success, and that's wrong. No, it's bullshit. If you're making $1 million a year, you can hire the lawyers and attorneys to make sure that you don't pay any taxes. You're paying something like 16% in taxes in reality when your lawyers and accountants get through with it. So it's bullshit. If, you know what, this is what I want to see happen. If these politicians really wanted to do something, really wanted to solve this problem and do something for this country, it's time to just throw the tax code out and let's just have a flat tax. Get rid of all the deductions, all the loopholes, just have a flat tax. Pick a number, 22% or whatever, and just have a flat tax, a fair tax for everybody. That's it. That's what needs to happen. But neither Republicans nor Democrats will ever do it, because the tax code is what gives them their power. The tax code is what they use. See, because you have to remember, these people don't work for us. That's why I think it's so funny when I hear people on either side, when I hear Republicans talk about, oh, Democrats, they just care about the government and socialism and trying to control the people and impose government on us. That's what they really care about. It's the Republicans who are looking out for the little guy. It's the Republicans who are looking out for the people. And you know what? They're 50% right. Yes, Democrats do like big government and high taxes and socialism and all that. That is endemic in a lot of their thinking. But this idea that Republicans are really looking out for the little guy, bullshit. Republicans work for their corporate donors and their lobbyists and the rich people. And by the way, this isn't a partisan argument, because it's the same thing on the other side. I also feel sorry for people who go around saying, oh, well, you know, Republicans, they just care about big business and the corporations and the jet owners and those people. That's all they care. They don't really care about the middle class and the poor people. It's the Democrats who care about the middle class and the poor people, and that's why I'm a Democrat. And you know what? That's also bullshit. They're also 50% right. Yes, it's true. Republicans do care about the rich and the jet owners and all that, and their big money donors. That's true. And yeah, they don't care about the middle class and the poor. Okay, that part's true. But this idea that the Democrats do care about the little guy and the middle class, no, that's bullshit too. Because Democrats, just like Republicans, only care about their corporate donors and the lobbyists and the people. They're the real bosses. That's why it's all bullshit. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they're both corrupt. These people don't work for us. They don't work for the voters. They don't work for the citizens. The real bosses are the corporations and the lobbyists and the people who donate millions of dollars to these campaigns. Did you know, by the way, this is another dirty little secret that some people don't realize, is that some of these corporations and these fat cat donors actually donate to both parties. In some situations, they will donate to both. It's a documented fact. They will actually donate. Say you have a Democrat and a Republican running for a particular Senate seat. It's true. It's documented. There are companies that will actually donate to both candidates. Now, why would they do that? That doesn't make sense, right? No, they do it in close races to hedge their bets because they want to make sure that whoever gets in is in their pocket. So they'll donate to both candidates. It happens. It's on record. Or they want to play both ends against the middle because they want gridlock. They don't want anything to change. They don't want any more regulation. So, you know, they hedge their bets. It's a fact. So if you're a Democrat or a Republican and you're sitting there going, oh, I don't like the other party because they just care about blah, blah, blah. It's my party that cares about me. You're wrong. Nobody's looking out for you. Neither party cares about you. They don't work for you. They want your votes, but they don't work for you. They work for their donors. And I'm not talking about the people who write a check for $20 and send it into the campaign. Yeah, that makes you a donor. But they care about the big donors. The corporations, the lobbyists. Oh, and in some cases, by the way, because we know, for example, that certain presidents have been very tight with, say, Saudi Arabia and other certain rich Middle Eastern countries. They're also bosses of the parties. That's who these people really work for. So I'm sick of seeing the tax code being used as a pawn in this game of chicken that these people are playing with our economy. Because it's bullshit. If you want to do something real for the economy, stop arguing about, we need to raise revenue, and so we need to raise taxes, lower tax. You know what? Just throw the whole thing out. Just throw the tax code out. And give us something simple that we can all work with. But they'll never do it because the tax code is what gives these people their power. And the tax code is exactly the way their donors want it because they're the ones who really write the laws, the people with the money. Hey, Doughboy, that might be an interesting topic for your show. Oh, I'm sorry. That's too interesting for your show. You won't talk about that on Throw It Up because you're too busy talking about how, whining about how people in the city of Manchester need to make sure that after they have a yard sale, they take down their signs because it's an eyesore when a yard sale sign is nailed to a tree and the yard sale's already gone by. What are you going to talk about next week? You saw someone left their dog shit on the sidewalk and didn't clean it up. That'd be a fascinating topic for Throw It Up. Why don't you talk about that? You know, I mean, why talk about anything anyone actually cares about? So a lot of cool stuff happening here at IPMNation.com. You can watch Throw It Up on the TV23 channel here through the site. But I wouldn't. But we do have on Wednesdays, as I mentioned earlier, I'll mention it one more time, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades premieres this coming Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on IPM, blah, 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 blah. You can tell I'm out of gas. Here on IPMNation.com/rockpaper if you want to go directly to the show page, or you can watch it through the TV23 portal right after Norm and Friends. And what else? You know what? There's some other stuff coming up, but my throat's starting to hurt. I've been worked up and doing a lot of yelling. And thanks, Chris from Verbal Ejaculation for participating tonight in the chat room. Verbal Ejaculation is Sunday nights at 9:30 p.m. here on IPMNation.com. And Chris, thank you also for my theme music, my new theme music. Much appreciated, and for participating in last week's show. We'll have to have you on again soon. Trish, thanks for also coming into the chat room and participating tonight. Paul, if you're listening, Paul Cormier, hope you're feeling better. He was supposed to come on tonight with me to argue about the death penalty, so hopefully we'll have Paul on again soon. That's an issue that I'm very passionate about. And you can listen to Paul's show, Retro Spectrum Radio, every Monday night at 11 p.m. here on IPMNation.com. Also, lots of cool new shows on the Mansterdam channel. I think that's going to do it. We're going to play one more track to wrap up the show. Couple episodes ago, I talked about what happened in Texas recently with that citizen of Mexico who was executed and how angry I was about that. You can go back. This was a couple episodes ago if you want to go back and listen to that. But what I didn't play that night, which would have been appropriate to play, I'm going to play tonight. This is a song from a band called Mantra. And the name of the song is Don't Mess with Texas. And I think this is a very appropriate way to commemorate what happened in Texas and the evil of the execution of Humberto Garcia, I believe was his name. Mexican citizen executed in Texas illegally, in my opinion, an execution that never should have happened. And Governor Rick Perry should be very deeply ashamed for letting it happen. Oh, and by the way, it sounds like he's going to run for president. Great. So this is going to wrap it up tonight. Please come back. Let's see. Tuesday night next week at 11 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed. Oh, maybe Doughboy will have answered my friend request on Facebook by then. I did that too, just to mess with him, see if he'll accept it or not. If he does, maybe I'll write some fascinating things on his wall. Anyway, all right, I'm going to wrap up with Don't Mess with Texas from Mantra. Thanks, everyone. This has been Matt Connarton Unleashed on this hot Friday night here on IPMNation.com, and we'll see y'all soon. Oh, this is the live version, by the way. Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Once again, the amazing Marie. This next song is this one's for everyone's favorite fella. This one's for GW. This is called Don't Mess with Texas. Texas, don't drop the bomb. Don't wanna be the last one holding on. Beg for mercy, down on your knees. I wanna hear the master begging, please. Now, sit and look. Too far, I wanna watch you burn. Oh, 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 oh. Don't mess with Jesus. He's got a gun. Is there any doubt who's number one? So spare the child, spoil the rod. I won't stay the course, but I'm jumping off now. Sit and look. You got too far. I wanna watch you burn. Oh, song that song.
Everybody give it up for Mike. He broke a string.